Why don't people teach that in school? Why weren't we meditating at
Well, there's
research?
so many things they didn't teach me at school.
Oh my God. Like you didn't, at school, I didn't even know what nervousness was. Like I just, why do I feel this way? I did,
It's at least you were in a white country, bro. To me, it was like it's all because of your phone.
Really?
Wake up early in the morning.
Right.
Even if I told them I've had AIDS, they'll be like, "Wake up early in the morning, it'll go away."
Yeah, drink some water.
Yeah,
You'll be okay. All right, guys, welcome back to the Mouthful with Marcus. Today we have another very special Adelaide-based guest, Lakshyaa. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I am very excited about this episode. I've been a fan of you for a long time. Firstly, your videos are absolutely beautiful.
I try.
But the stuff that you say about young men and motivation and getting people's mindset right, I think is important not only for the culture, but for the young men listening to this podcast. And if you are a young woman listening to this podcast, treat it like here's an insight into the male brain. I think the shit you've got to say is great. But for those who don't know who you are, can you give us a little bit of context as to your story and why you think it's a good idea people listen today?
Yeah, sure. So I was born in Delhi, India. Spent most of my life there. Did go to States for a little bit in between. That's the thing I think kind of, shifted my perception about where I want to continue my life. Mm-hmm. Got my year 12 done and then I'm here. I've been here since late 2018, early 2019.
That's one of the things, outside of my research, I've just spent the past 4 hours listening to you. I love the shit you're saying, but I've been following you for a while now. I like the idea that you weren't born here in Australia, and outside of your glow up, which we'll talk about, you've got your gym story, you've got your business story, you've got your academic story. You coming from another country at the age of 18 is a whole other life swap, right?
Yeah.
I really wanted to get into first the gym stuff, right? Can you give us a little bit of context about your relationship with the gym, and then we can sort of go into the steps and the buildings from there?
Yeah, right. So I've always wanted to go to the gym, I think when I was like maybe 15 or 16, because you see guys around you starting getting a little bit jacked and they're getting a bit more female attention. And then you're like, I want to attract females too. But not just that, even if it's like somebody's asked to move a desk in the class, I'm like, I want to be that guy. But since I'm not jacked enough, I can't do it. But at that point in time, like a lot of parents do have that stereotype about gym. It was just that if you go to the gym too early on, it's going to restrict
your growth.
Yeah, it's going to restrict how tall you're going to be in the future. So I wasn't really allowed to go to the gym, which is fine. But then after I got in Adelaide, it'd probably be after a year, I wasn't really looking into like attracting girls or anything. I was just too focused on uni, juggling part-time jobs and whatnot. But eventually you're only human and you're a guy. You're going to find someone like, she's cute.
So you're saying that the early days started off as I'm not getting girls, how can I be more attractive?
At one point it got to that level, but...
Because I was going to say, I watched one of your early on podcasts and you, bro, I know in your Instagram content, you've talked about having a glow up. You look like a completely different person, bro. Like you were a quarter of your size.
Yeah.
You've like fully gymmed out, man. Like...
Well, to be fair, the first couple months, as you would say, obviously had a different life experience. So it took a bit of time to just adapt to the people, adapt to a new country, a new state, whatever you want to call it. And then just kind of get life going because set up a place where you want to live, get a part-time job. All right, you're going to uni, you got to look after your grades. So the first couple months, it wasn't like, where can I find girls? Where like I need to attract someone.
So let's just survive and not die.
Yeah, pretty much. It was the battle of surviving. And after that, when life's gotten a little bit more chill, when everything's feeling a bit more balanced out, then you're like, all right, I can look into...
Expand.
Yeah, I can look into more things now. And then, this girl was working at Woolies. I started working at Woolies as well after a couple of months when I arrived here. I started liking her. I was getting attention from her. Long story short, heard that she was only in it for the attention. And she did say to someone like, I would never date him. He's not my type. He doesn't look good. And he gives me attention, so I'm talking to him. And the guy she actually liked at that point of time, obviously just had one thing over me that I could see. It was like, he's shorter than me, but he's got muscles. So that was my gateway to never feeling like that again. Because it made me pretty shit. Let's be real. When you think there's a genuine connection and then you just figure out that person's only been technically using you to fill up their emptiness or void with attention, I'm like, fuck, man.
I like it. And that's just for a bit of context before we go on to the other questions. Your story has been a story of run into some sort of discomfort or run into some sort of thing that's stung a little bit, and then you've adapted. So the girl thing, it's go to the gym. The academics and creative being, you use the words being a brown person in Australia. You won't see a brown person doing creative stuff. For context, Lakshyaa has his own media agency, so he makes really high quality videos for businesses. And that's all come from trial and error, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
In terms of the first trial and error, which is this bloke's got more muscles than me. I need to go to the gym. I heard you say you were self-taught in the gym, as I guess most people were,
Yeah.
but you were eating 2 tablespoons of olive oil to get calories or something.
So
What was that like?
I didn't get a coach straight away because when you're on a budget, you can't really invest in. I've got a coach now. I've had a coach for about 3.5 years now. Once I got serious about it, I was like, no, you need to get a coach. But before that, all right, I'm skinny. I need to gain weight. I don't need to gain muscle. That was not even my point. I need to gain weight. What do you do to gain weight? You look up on YouTube and like everyone's talking about calorie surplus.
Yeah. Give me calorie dense food.
Yeah, I was like, calorie surplus. All right, eat more food. I had no idea of what's protein, what's carbohydrates, what's fats. I'm like, just more calories.
Yeah.
So I calculated the little bit of maintenance calories and I was like, I'm going to eat 500 calories more than that. I'm going to eat 300 calories more than that. Just some random number at that point in time. And by the end of the day, since I was running around going uni and not really meal prep, I didn't even know meal prep existed at that point in time. It didn't even cross my mind that you can cook your food for like 5 days, store it and whatnot. I was just like, I was cooking every day. I was having Macca's on the way out of the gym and whatnot. So I was just trying to hit the calorie goal. But there were a lot of nights when before going to bed, I'm like, I'm short of like 600 calories or I'm short of like 300 calories. The most calorie dense food that I had was either the olive oil or like peanut butter or something.
That's
so I would, so I would just like, one time I didn't have peanut butter either. So that is why it stuck to my head. I'm like tablespoons full of olive oil. So I'm like,
wow.
So I don't feel guilty that I didn't hit the calorie goal for that day.
So in those early days, I mean, I was going to ask you like what helped you stick with going to the gym and what were some tips, but I don't want this to be a gym bro podcast.
Yeah.
You say the idea of, when you go to the gym, you earn respect. Now, obviously, you're in great shape now, but there were times in the, your newbie gains, when you're first getting used to things, you're probably doing your exercises wrong, you weren't seeing much results. But you've said in past content that regardless of whether you were the skinny kid who's starting or the person who's competed, which you are, you actually had respect within the first 3 weeks because, I don't know, I'm not going to answer your question for you. What did it feel like to be building respect for yourself in those early days, despite not having maybe physical results come through?
I think more than, obviously, as you've mentioned, the physical results, when people don't really expect you to do anything and then you not prove them wrong, but it's a good feeling. Let's be real. Like, I'm not doing this to prove her wrong that, hey, she didn't choose me over that bloke, or she didn't even like date that bloke in the long run anyway. But I'm just like, it's not about proving her wrong. Yes, the feeling was initiated from her. But at the end of the day, I was just like,
an upgrade is due. Now it's time.
Like, why not? Like, I've always wanted to do this even when I was like 15, 16. This is just like another reminder that you should do it now that you can do it. Because I don't have my parents kind of stopping me anymore. Not that like they stopped me, but they just didn't let me. Because when you're a kid, they have control over your life.
So you saying like, let's say in that first month of being consistent, outside of the respect that you have for yourself for making those disciplined decisions, you're saying that people might have noticed the fact that you've gone on and started this new journey?
Well, the biggest thing for me was respect for my mom and dad. Because they would talk to me after work every night. Like I'd try to FaceTime them or call them. Why not? Because I don't have siblings. So I do want to be in touch with them because I don't want them to feel like, oh, right, their son's left and just doesn't talk to them anymore. But even for the first couple of weeks, they were like, every single day, I'm like, how long are you going to keep doing this for?
Oh, they were like checking in to see if you'd given up yet.
No, not about like checking in, but they're like, why have you gotten yourself into something extra? You already have uni, part-time jobs, everything else on your plate. Like, how long are you going to keep doing this for? So I think this is my personal theory that they thought I was going to give up after. Like it happens with a lot of blokes. They start for a couple months, they do it for
we'll see how long this one goes.
Yeah, they go for 6 months, maybe they go for a year, and then not really seeing those results, or maybe just not something they can commit to. They eventually fade out of it. So I had that feeling from my mum and dad. They were the first people who made it feel like that way. And I was like, you guys don't take me seriously, do you? And they were like, no, like, we take you seriously, but how long are you going to keep doing this for? And
forever.
And now they're like, oh,
So there's something to be said there that outside of whatever physical gains you might achieve, outside of whatever mental gains of consistency you might achieve, there's still something to be said about you get respect from not living up to bad expectations from other people.
Exactly right.
And that's why gym's a good thing. I have an interesting one that I relate to about it, about your story, is outside of being the skinny kid at 18, you're also the chubby kid in your earlier days.
Yeah.
You've said in the past that the insecurities are always going to be there and that your past self is always inside of you. Now, I've personally in my life, I've come to terms with how I used to think and how things have changed since I've made the physical and mental upgrades.
Yeah.
But there is still the little voice in my head.
It's always going to be there.
What's that like for you and how do you handle it?
Well, obviously you've built evidence now. You've got proof. So the easiest way for me, look at my Instagram, look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, nah, you're not that kid anymore. Is it still a part of me? Yes, it's always going to be a part of me. And that is why I'm grateful for where I am today. Because if I was always this way, I'd be hungrier to just be better than this. I would not appreciate this.
Is there a gratitude for your past self in the sense of like, sometimes I look at having my past self inside of me as a secret weapon. Like I've got the fat kid that needed to be funny charisma. You've got charisma, for example. You didn't learn that being a good looking guy. You learned that being the ugly guy.
It's not even that. I'm just like I could have been okay in my life if I wasn't fat or if I wasn't too skinny. Yeah. Like life would have been better. But now that it was a part of you and me both, you just look back and it's like, nah, like you have a storyline. There's a reason why you stick to Netflix stories. There's a reason you stick to Prime or like a movie story or whatever, because they've got a storyline and that was a storyline. And like ups and downs, you need to have
the hero's journey.
Oh, I don't know about the hero, but.
Oh, you have to be the hero of your own story.
I'll be the villain, bro. I'm being nice too much. It you over again and again. So fair. Being nice. But yeah, like now that you have a story and there's ups and downs, that's what keeps you kind of like, oh shit, I want to keep watching it. So that's same with our lives as well.
Well, I think a very interesting part of your early story was the move from India to Australia, which is what I want to talk about. Villain or hero, I got to tell you, your story is deepened by the fact that you've come to a new country at the age of 18 to study, to learn, to thrive. Obviously, you've built social status and you've built a business, but that's software that you've got now. You didn't have that software when you came here.
Nah.
Can you run us through what it was like coming here and what Australia was like when you first got here?
Well, I had options to go to different countries. Considered Canada, considered UK, obviously Australia. I'm here now. What else was it? I got offers from almost every state that I applied in Sydney. I applied in Brizzy. I applied in Melbourne as well. I think it was Monash University. I'm not really sure on the name. Didn't apply to Perth. Perth. Too far away from everything. But then...
sorry, Perth people, if you're watching. Sorry. This is how people speak about Adelaide, though, so we're used to it.
Why would you be in Adelaide?
Adelaide's the fucking best. Anyway, continue.
But yeah, said no to Canada, too cold. Can't get out of bed, freezing. Nah. UK, couple people told Dad there's a lot of crime in UK and especially the racism against brown people in UK is getting higher. So he was really like concerned about that. Not saying it's any better in Australia now that I've lived here, but I think he was just wanted his son to be a bit on the safer side. And then landed up here in Adelaide. The first thing that I had in mind from get-go, from day one, was I'd done my research on YouTube. I've seen, now these videos are getting even more prominent as the migration is increasing or as the population is increasing, but there is an existing stereotype against brown people. And I was like, the one thing I'm never going to do is fit into that stereotype. So it was also another reason why I am the way I am. I'll fully and wholly accept every single brown color particle of me, but I'll never fit into that stereotype.
It's interesting. Okay, so I want to get into the culture shock, because you're in a country that was speaking a different language. I want to get into the intricacy of that, but I do have notes here that you've said, if you're a brown dude, the possibilities are you do one of three jobs in terms of the stereotype.
I'll list them straight
Number
away.
1,
Uber driver.
Number 2,
driving a white Camry. Number 2.
Number 2,
Uber Eats or like DoorDash and Deliveroo and everything else.
And number 3.
I don't know what I would have said on number 3.
You said university, going to study to be a lawyer or a consultant.
Yeah, that's still a bit more down the drain. Like you actually earn a degree, but everyone's just like, that's the basic. If you see a white Camry with a taxi sticker or an Uber sticker, I'll bet $1,000 on it. It's going to be an Indian boy.
But what I want to ask you there is why, because you've talked about the fact that, you know, the outside of that reputation and that bad stereotype that you've said, you only don't like that stereotype and don't want to be that stereotype because you love your country so much. I want to make that very clear. That's what you say. And you've made a conscious effort to be the version of the brown person that doesn't fit the stereotype. E.g., you've built your own business. You've got the creative route, XYZ. Why is that? Why do you want to be the change in the stereotype? And what made you worry about being the stereotype in the first place when the rest of the Indian people coming here are jumping in the Camry? I don't know the right way to approach this. I've never really had this conversation.
Fine. Well, it's a sensitive topic in the means, because I've had people be like, oh, you just hate brown people. I'm like, I'm brown myself. Like, I don't hate them. It's just that the way they're perceived by other people is not the best. And I know for a fact, not all brown people are like this. If you're making active and intelligent choices to do what you want to do with your life, that's totally fine. You want to drive a Camry? Do it. You want to do Uber Eats? You do it. Whatever floats your boat, that's fine. But there's still going to be certain things that you do while being in that role that is going to make the stereotype stronger. For example, one of them is, I've noticed this personally, and now I know it's a big thing. Even when the Uber drivers are driving, they've got their headphones in, they've got their AirPods in. And I'm like, well, technically, customer service standpoint, you're not supposed to be talking to someone, irrespective of if you're talking to your mum, you're talking to your dad, you're talking to your son, daughter, anyone. You've got a customer in the backseat. You look after them.
This is, dude, I mean, you're saying what I've thought but would never say, but you can kind of say it. This is we're in murky waters right now, but it is an interesting point.
Adding on to this, number 2, yes, there's a stereotype brown people stink. All right, what do? You start using fucking deodorant.
Oh, God.
We're cologne.
Dude, my bumhole is clenching. I don't want to get cancelled. Fucking hell. Yeah, all right. You can keep saying this. I'm not going to say a fucking word, but yep.
And then, again, and a lot of people think, oh, it's because we sound different. No, you don't. It's not because you sound different. If you talk to a European dude, if you talk to a black dude from Nigeria, everyone's got an accent. It's not about the accent. I want to make that very clear. Because half of the people are just like, just because I sound and look different.
You sound different 2 years later than the content I was watching 4 years ago. You even sound different now.
That's what I'm saying.
Is that learned? How do you learn that?
I didn't learn that. I just adapted to it. Because when I got here, number 1, I didn't have a whole lot of brown people in my course. As I mentioned, a lot of them do accounting or maybe something more like towards the engineering side. I'm in a creative industry. There's no brown person in my class. Let alone that, there's not a whole lot of blokes, I was really happy about that.
I actually studied marketing. So I got high ATAR, same as you. Went to uni, did it for 6 months, and you're right, it was all just girls. I dropped out because obviously I wanted to start the business sooner. Yeah. But I do remember it being all girls. I was like, oh, right, nice. Anyway, continue. Sorry. No,
that's fine.
Back to absolutely hating on Indian people.
No. Oh.
I'm joking.
I hate myself. But yeah, so that was the other thing. And then when I had any and few of my friends, they were not brown. They were white people. They were wogs. So when I'm hanging around with all of these people, yes, I might sound a little bit different at that point of time, but the more you hang out with people, the more the language just keeps changing.
So rewinding back to the coming to Australia and the nuance of being in a new country and the lessons learned, what was Australia like outside of you trying to avoid stereotypes? Which I like your the main point you're making there, which is you don't have to fit into what everyone thinks you're going to fit into.
Yeah.
It just is going to require work, e.g. taking your headphones out and giving some customer service in the car.
It's very basic, bro.
What was the biggest culture difference between the two countries? Because there'd be redeeming things about your home country that you love, right? What were the two big differences?
It's a very good question, and I'm going to have to think about that. But the major difference, I would say, was, yes, people in India are like very collective and everyone loves, getting together and whatnot. But here in Australia, the one thing that I noticed straight away, this was like 6 or 7 years ago, whatever, when I landed here, was just talking to strangers on the road, just saying, "G'day, how you going?" kind of thing. And I'm like,
happens more, happens less?
Happens more here.
Yeah. People are quite social.
It's very social on the street because like the first couple of times when I was going to uni, because I remember I didn't have a car, I didn't have a bicycle or anything. I'm just walking down uni and old dudes walking down. "Hey, go mate. Good day." I'm like,
"Morning."
Good, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, good morning." Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what this means. I've been here for 2 days. Like, come on now. But in India, you wouldn't see that happening quite often. Like,
people are hustling and bustling.
Yeah, not even hustling and bustling. Even if you're walking down the street, if you don't know that person, not a whole lot of people talk. Maybe things have changed in the last however many years. I haven't been there. But at least for the time I was there, I didn't notice that happening.
Yeah, wow.
So I was like, okay, so you can say hi to strangers without coming across as, "Who the fuck are you?" So I'm like, and after that, so the first time I actually tried it, I had to tell myself, I'm going to do it. I'm going to
ask, "How are you?"
I'm just going to say morning, or like, I'm just going to say, "How you going?" kind of thing. I'm just like, I'm going to do it 10 times. I'm telling myself deep inside. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. I bitched out a couple of times, but the third time I was like, come on now, you have to do it. I have never even thought about talking to a girl this many times. When the first time I was like, I'm going to say, "How you going?"
G'day, mate.
Yeah. pretty much.
Well, I like that you've taken the thought, because it is interesting when you come to a new environment, regardless of whether you're a fucking a fish, an insect, when you change ecosystems, you either adapt or you die, right? And the same applies for humans in your environments. What were some of the things for you that you've, because obviously, again, I look at you and you're like, you seem like westernized. I don't know if that's the right word, guys. Please forgive me. The way you dress better than I do. You present better than I do. You smell so good, man. Like everything about you is polished. I'm not like that, right? And I'm meant to be. I'm third generation Italian, so I'm pretty much Australian, right?
Can you speak Italian?
No.
Can you understand Italian?
Yeah, a little bit.
Sto cercando di imparare anche l'italiano.
Mi dispiace, me not speak that. I'm sorry. No. Point being is, what were some of the key things that you learned that other people could learn outside of whether they're from India, China, Africa, anywhere? You come to Australia, what were some things that really helped you with your character growth?
I think take a deep breath. Don't think that you have to rush anything. Even if you have to take a week, spend time observing people, how people walk, talk, and the social norm, I think, is going to give you a clearer picture of, okay, this is normal here. Because the first day when you see things and you don't feel that's normal for you, if you give it a bit of time, you'll understand that's actually very normal here. Number two is,
do you have an example of that?
Just for example, just saying, how you going kind of thing. Or like,
doesn't have to lead to a conversation. How you going?
Yeah. You say that. Sometimes people don't even respond. Yeah, good, thanks. And just keep walking. They don't even look back.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a full-fledged conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So give it time.
Mm-hmm.
Let it settle down. And then you'll be like, all right, now that I have pointers, I'm not saying you're probably going to get everything right. You'll probably still fuck up, but at least you're on the safer side. And then number two is probably going to be ready to be uncomfortable, because you're coming from a place that is not exactly the same as another country. So there's going to be things that you think are wrong, but they're probably not wrong. It's just your personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Be okay to adapt to people and respect them.
You mean in terms of value systems, for example?
Yeah.
Culture shock in terms of you should be married by this age in my country, but in this country, everyone's still sleeping around at the age of 40. Like that was a shock, I'm guessing.
Yeah, pretty much, because like, I don't know.
That was a very detailed example from me. I'm sorry, but you get the point.
Have you got any personal experiences around there?
No,
Have you heard?
I mean, I'm not 40 yet.
Like close personal.
I just hope to be married by 40, please. Anyway.
Okay, yeah, but for example, even if we were going about sleeping around, compared to India, at least I didn't know about that, and I'm still thinking that's the same case. People in Australia, like, they end up sleeping around with each other like at 14, 15 now.
The culture's way looser.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But in India, you wouldn't see that happening that often. Maybe things have changed. Again, anything that I say in this podcast, guys, is going to be based on how much I've experienced it. And in the last 6-7 years, whatever, it's changed. It's a different story to me as well. But yeah, like, that didn't happen back in India.
I liked your point about getting uncomfortable and doing that actively. Did you, like, for example, I know that your ability to communicate, same as mine, has come from the fact that you've just done reps in conversations. Talk to this person, talk to this type of person, this age, this culture. The more conversations you have, the more fuck-ups you make in the conversation, the more ways you learn interpersonal skills. I'm going to use the word immigrant. Is that?
Yeah.
As an immigrant.
As a brown dude,
did you join certain social groups on purpose for those reps, or did the gym provide that socialness, or were you on fucking Tinder? But I don't know. No Tinder.
I was on Tinder, but I had like 12 likes.
Okay. So how did you get the reps in?
I'm actually going to thank my mum for that, because one of the other things that you mentioned earlier, and I was going to touch point on that, was how I'm able to communicate well, and how the English is not like a big point for struggle, like a big struggle point for me compared to other brown people. Since I'm the only child, my mum pretty much decided when and the child that I'm going to have is going to get the best of the best. So she put me in a school straight away where they teach you English before they start teaching you Hindi. So the first language I actually learned was, all right, English. And then also school had some sort of rules and shit. Like, if they find you talking in Hindi, they're going to put fines on you.
Really?
So, because it was a Christian school.
Got it. So pretty, very...
I can read verses of Bible right now.
Yeah, wow.
So that is why, like, I'm also heavily connected to the Christian culture. And I think that played a big role for me to be fluent in English. Maybe the accent wasn't as like prominent when I came here, because it's going to be a thick Indian accent. Come on now. But then, the fluency just didn't change.
I relate to that. You know, I always, because my mum can speak fluent Italian. I said, Mum, why do you not just speak to us in 2 languages the way your mum did to you?
Yeah.
She goes, I would rather you just be an excellent English communicator. Like, I did all of the top subjects in English, which really has helped me in everything in my life. She hammered that home, you know, like, she is an English teacher. So I had that help at school. I would have loved to learn Italian. It would have helped me be a little bit more. No, that was cringe. Sorry, guys. Oh, God. If you're a girl, okay, I'm going to shut up. English is great, and that was a priority.
Yeah.
Cringe. Anyway, any other tips for people coming here to learn the Australian culture?
Yeah, and just don't be too strict on yourself. Let loose a little bit.
Don't be too strict trying to be perfect. Or...
Not even that. Like, just don't be too strict on yourself. Like, oh, I have so much work to do. I can't take an hour off.
Okay.
Kind of thing. Like, that's what, again, with a lot of Indian immigrants, I respect everyone who's trying to, work their asses off. Great. But giving yourself a little bit of space actually helps you reset.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've noticed in the past year, because I was just grinding too much and I was going through a burnout. Like, over the last few months, I've lost 500-600 followers because I've taken a break now. Like, I don't post a whole lot of new stuff. I've been recycling my videos, but it's actually allowing me to just fall in love with the process of creating again.
This is a niche question for the, I guess, the Indian people who are listening, I guess, that might have come from your page. What are your top 3 main pieces of advice to breaking the stereotype, if that's something that they value?
Like the Indian
yeah, the stereotype that you said you didn't like.
All right.
Because there's Italian stereotypes too, trust me. And I tried not to fit into those. Like, that's why I grew my hair long, so I didn't want to have a shaven head and look like a wog. Everyone's got their stereotype that they're trying to break. What's one?
You're not wearing TN, so that's a good thing.
What?
You don't have a bum bag. That's a good thing.
Correct. What are your 3 positive pointers to breaking a stereotype?
Learn how to talk to strangers with respect. Number 2 is probably going to be smell good. Like, jokes apart, but that is actually a big one. I had this bloke in the gym the other day, and the nicest way I went about it was like, bro, if you come at peak times, there's going to be girls around here and you don't want to be smelling like that. I didn't just go like, you smell like shit. But he was like, oh, sorry, man. And I was like, at least he was self-aware.
You got balls, bro. I couldn't do that.
No, the only reason I did that because he was brown.
Okay.
If it was a white bloke, I probably wouldn't have said anything.
Oh, so you like saying it brother to brother, I guess.
Yeah. So since he was brown, I was like, I think it's my responsibility at this point in time. Yeah. Okay. I was like, I need to tell this to you.
Yeah.
Even if you feel bad, maybe you get mad at me or whatnot, we'll talk about it and I'll be like, look, I want the best for you. And then I would have shown him my content and whatnot. Like, I do this, like, I love giving advice to my own people, but he actually took it flawlessly. He was like all open ears about it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh my God. Yeah. All right. What's number 3?
Number 3, funny, but don't drive a camera.
This is so niche. I don't like, probably Indian culture is the one I know least about. I've got Asian friends, I've got African friends. I don't know too many Indian people. So this is all like
me neither, bro.
Oh my God. All right, let's go back. So you've come to Australia now. I want to go outside of the gym. You talk a lot about male mindset, which at the end of the day, no matter what country you're from, the masculine condition and the male condition is still quite similar, no matter what. Very similar. Right? What are the top 3 things men aren't doing that is costing them the most at the early stages of their life?
You got to be a bit more specific about what's costing them what?
As in, like, in the early days of a man or a male growing up, what are the 3 things that they could be doing to be in a better position later in their lives? Like, for me, I don't know, trying to stay off video games as a kid was a big one for me, because not because it was a time suck, and video games are a whole separate topic. You put energy in, and unless you're competing for a career, nothing comes back to you. But it was just for the brain training of not getting distracted so easily. That's a niche thing for me. But 3 things young men should be doing more of or should be doing less of.
I think it's not really on young men either. Like, obviously there's things that they can do, but it's also going to be a big thing on how their environment's affecting them, especially with parents. So even if I don't have 3 things, I'll probably give you a couple, but they'll be worth more than 3. Number 1's probably going to be emotional intelligence. Because since my mum had a big impact on my life, my mum and dad are together, by the way.
Me too. Yeah. Very lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky. Stable household's massive.
Yeah, they've been together for 25 years, so that's a big deal for me. Obviously, I look at them as an example for the future relationship.
Me too.
But still, I was very close with my mum. Dad's obviously a bit of brown dad, kind of hard on, be like, all right, you good? You good? Yeah, cool. And he gets off with work. But mum is so like comforting me and whatnot. So I had a lot of feminine impact on my life, which kind of pushed me towards being emotional too quick. Like, I would get teary too quick.
Bro, you're like my fucking bro. I've got 2 sisters and a very strong mum the same.
Yeah.
That female influence has been the biggest service in terms of understanding women and interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
But it's also cost me I'm actually slightly an emotional dude.
Yeah.
I feel that. Oh my God. Sorry. Continue.
No, you're fine. And then, yeah, so obviously it comes with the positives, but then I've got the emotional side, like the smallest of things that hurt me. I used to get very teary really quick. And as an impact of that, I used to take a lot of decisions based on how I was feeling.
Me too. Me too.
Over the
Not
past,
good for business, bro.
not good for business, not good for anything.
Yeah.
Not good for anything. You say things that you really want to say and it means something, but then people take that as your weakness.
Yeah. And your emotional choices have logical ramifications. You say the thing that is true to you in those feelings. I heard you talk about this in a video where, you know, your advice to a guy going through a breakup is, even if the girl has wronged you or something bad has happened, or regardless of what's happened, if you've got an emotional pain, your best bet is to shut your mouth, go and vent about it to the boys, and make the logical choice, which is just exit the thing that's caused you the pain with respect.
Yeah.
Get out of there, move on. Do not vent the truths that you feel to that girl in that moment.
It's not going to change anything.
And it's going to cause more damage. I've caused so much damage in my emotional outbursts, which were at the time and still probably to this day, completely fair enough and right. But should I do it again? No. But that's good. So emotional intelligence, number one.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up, I'd probably say, don't let your emotions control you. Don't be hesitant in showing your emotions. Like, all right, you know, that didn't make me feel good. But don't take decisions or say something acting on them. Control your emotions. Let them be freely flowing. But again, hold yourself from doing something in the moment, on the heat of the moment.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Number two is probably going to be, I don't know, it's hard because if you're born in a very privileged family, you're probably going to get everything. I'm lucky enough. I was born in a really good family, but we had a roof over our head. We had food on the table. Grateful for that. But it wasn't like driving Lamborghinis, Mercedes kind of thing. Just basic kind of life. So number two is probably going to be okay with not getting everything, because that in the long run helps you take out more value of the small things. Maybe that thing is not any like small to you anymore, but for example, just a basic example of this is going to be driving a Euro car. Like my dad for his life has driven something equivalent to like a Suzuki Swift. For all his life. And now that I'm driving an Audi, for him, it's a big deal. For me, it's a big deal too. But then now that I look at my car, I'm like, life's taken a big change.
There's another level.
It's like a big change for me. Obviously, I'm not I'm satisfied with it. I'm not I want a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. There's never going to be end to your wants. But looking back at your life, you just feel more grateful because you always didn't have everything. And I've seen a lot of people go the negative route about it. It was like, my life sucks. I'm born in a poor family. My mom and dad don't look after me. I don't get no shoes. Cool, bro. That's fine.
I think that there's something to be said there about the game of life is never ever about where you start, whether it's higher on the scale or lower on the scale. It's about the difference, but it's not about where you end either. It's about the difference between where you started and where you finished, right? You are worse off starting with a Lamborghini and finishing with a Lamborghini than to start in the Swift and move to the Audi. That's the whole point. You had to, it's not about this. We're just talking material things here, but I'm talking about the things that go into getting the material thing. I don't know. I feel the same as you. And sometimes I feel guilty saying that I come from a stable household with parents who are together. Yeah. We don't drive Lamborghinis either, but we had food on the table, and thank God my value system's quite strong because I've had such a good influence from my parents. I've been given education. Yes, not everyone has started from there, but do you think if I stayed in exactly that level of safety that I would be what I am now? And I'm not saying I'm anything, but I'm saying, but there's a long way from where I started to where I'm going and where I'm going next. Yeah. You're talking about the growth has to be chased regardless. Yeah. And like a very small but a meaningful example to me is at that point of time, PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 were really big when I was growing up. Obviously, PS4 came into play as well, but I never got one. Then, like, my parents never bought me one, but obviously all the other boys or the friends, they had one. So I would get a chance to go to their house and play. So they have it. So they don't really value it. But the hour I was at their house, such a treat, bro.
that hour that I was at their house, I would soak it
Dude,
in.
you're making me feel like I grew up in India because I had the same experience. I would be the bloke who like would ask to go to the friend's house so I could play the video games. And then they'd be like, can I have a shot? No, bro, you got it a week. Let me play.
So that
Oh,
60
wow.
minutes, every single minute and second of that, I'm absorbing. But now that I'm 24, emotionally intelligent, and I look back at it, those boys had no value for their like PlayStation 2 or 3, whatever it was at that point in time. But now that I look at myself, I'm like, man, you were really enjoying those 60 minutes, like taking everything in. So obviously don't take it for granted, but since I didn't have it and I was getting a chance to just touch what it feels like to own it for like an hour.
I'm low-key also glad that I didn't have it because it's interesting. You just mentioned you're 24. I'm 24.
Yeah.
I'm really relating to you right now. When I bought my PS5 about a year and a half ago, I binged. I was like, this is my time. I've got my console. Let's play. That thing's been unplugged for about a year and a half. There's dust on it. I shouldn't have bought the thing because thankfully, dear parents, I love you. Thank you for not giving me the thing. And I'm not saying it's because we couldn't afford it or it was a punishment because I was an unfocused kid. I did other things. They paid for my football fees so I could go play club football, right? Now that I didn't have it to start with and I've bought it and binged it, I realized why it was so good not to have it in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you relate to that. You know, I don't know.
Again, my mom and dad were very heavy. Like, especially, I think all brown parents are very heavy on grades.
Yeah.
Even the kids that are born here, like second, first generation, whatever you want to call them, like the brown kids that are born here, and I've gotten in touch with a couple of them. They're very Aussie.
I think it's the general immigrant story. Sorry to interrupt there, because I relate to it from my nonna. The reason I did so well in school was for nonna, because it's like constantly, and it was the same for you, just in real time, where mine's 2 generations up. She worked so hard to get here. Don't it up, kid.
Yeah.
Whereas yours is like, we've worked so hard to send you to Australia.
Yeah.
Don't up, kid.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. And again, not for me, even the blokes that are born here, when I have a chat with them, the parents are exactly the same. Exactly the same.
You mean they're comfortable and because they're set in Australia, there's privilege and we don't have to stress too much?
Nah, because the kids are born here now. Like I wasn't born here. Obviously, I moved here, but I've met the guys similar age as me who are also brown, but the difference is that they weren't born here. Like they've spent all their life in Australia. But the parents, their parents and mine, like exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Oh, sorry. Same values as in still we're going to work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
That's the one thing that I'm like, oh shit, didn't really make a difference that you were born here.
So obviously for you to have come to where you are, and I want to get into the context about the business you run, and I feel like the gym part of this conversation was still warming up, but just for clarity, guys, this bloke was a quarter of his size. He's like doubled in strength.
I'll give you a video, a photo, or whatnot. I'll just put it up.
He's transformed his body, and obviously that's come with life lessons and learnings. There's a message here that you say you either get bitter or get better.
Yeah.
Without me loading a question again, is there anything you can expand on that?
I think the first time I actually heard, I'm going to give credit to where I heard it from. And I just was like, when I heard it the first time, I was like, that makes so much sense. I heard this the first time from Iman Gatti.
Yep.
I saw like a little reel of him and I was like, he said like, you can either get bitter or you can get better. And I was like, that's right. I didn't get bitter. I got better. And that's what I like. I'm going to preach that message as well. Cause all right, you don't have anything. Maybe you were stripped away of something, or you just are a certain way and you need to change yourself. And there's always going to be people better than you. There's always going to be people richer than you, blokes bigger than you, who have more girls than you, who have a better business than you, who are doing what you want to do with your life currently. And then you can either cry about it or be like, cool, they already worked. Or maybe they were lucky, whatever. Can I take the next step that's going to get me closer to that level? Irrespective of if it is physique, money, or whatever. Materialistic, non-materialistic, spiritual, whatever. Can I take another step? You take one step, cool, I got better. One step better.
The idea of like the world's going to stay the same. You're only just going to get stronger.
Have you seen those Instagram videos where like the world before your heartbreak, the world after your heartbreak, and it's exactly the same videos playing?
Yeah.
So
the world when you cared about what people thought versus the world when you didn't, and it's the same video.
Yeah, same 2 videos playing like on top of each other. That's how I look as you can either get bitter or you can get better. You get bitter, the world keeps moving the same.
Yeah.
You get better, the world keeps moving the same, but your own personal experiences of the world change. So
it's interesting. I know we're only 24, but I feel like it's interesting because my life, despite I've had I'm blessed. I've had the same group of friends for such a long time. Any and all trauma, I'm going to use that word. Any and all things that have impacted the operations of my brain and mindset have come from my bad choices. Nothing bad has happened to me. I'm grateful for that, right? Or at least that's the way I've reconciled things that have happened to me. I just make it my fault, and therefore it was a choice I made and I've got control over it. At 24 years, I feel like my life started at 18, which is, I feel like, similar to you.
Yeah.
From 18 to 24, which is only 6 years, I feel like I've been weathered by the world so much more than from 0 to 18.
Absolutely.
And what I mean to say by that is, like, one of the biggest things I've learned, and obviously you know this when you're 10, there's always going to be something that life comes to you with, whether it's the stress of your homework or it's because no one's passing you the ball as a year 7 wanting to play ball. There's always something that pisses you off. And the ones that are doing best in life, and I look at my parents, like, if this is how jaded I feel at 24 going through what I've gone through, how many things have they gone through at the age of 50? They had to get stronger. Otherwise, you just die. You're going to die. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's an interesting concept. Speaking of adapting and not dying and the wild ecosystem of the world, let's look at a lion, right? You want to be the top kingpin organism in your ecosystem, you have to be competitive.
Oh, absolutely.
And I want to talk to you about this because I don't know, I know that you've got competitive genes in you. The way you spoke about the dude who got the girl that you liked when you were a kid, he's got nothing on me except for muscles, right? Yeah. Can you talk to me about the competitive mindset, if it's something that you're born with, if it's something you should learn? What does it mean to you?
Again, mum's probably going to be the one to thank for that. As a little kid, she started putting me into all these competitions, whether it was a debate competition, whether it was just a group discussion competition kind of thing. And that's also where a lot of my communication skills kind of flourished, because I'm the only one talking.
You said you're on the debating team, which would have been great for the reps.
That's what I'm saying. So like, she started putting me through all these competitions. And obviously when you are in this, like, if you're starting winning, when there's a special speech to be given in front of like 500 people, the principal's going to choose you because she's seen, okay, this guy's winning again and again. He's got something in him. He's got that dog in him, which other kids don't.
Yeah.
And when you have obviously some special guests coming into the school for like an assembly or whatnot, if there's parents, you want to put the best impression of the school. So you're going to put that bloke on top of there.
So you were like the high achiever.
I wasn't the high achiever, not necessarily, but definitely the people, like, the only reason people knew me in the school was I used to play drums and I was good at it.
Really?
Like, I'm not really...
I've got no musical bones, man.
Yeah, I'm not really confident about a lot of shit, but like, I was good at playing drums. And number 2 was I was the one with my, like, the mic in my hand. I was always talking. I was always winning talking competitions and whatnot. So that definitely played a role there. And it just worked out the way it is.
What I've heard just then is that by doing more competitive things, you either lose and want to become more competitive so you can win, or you win and enjoy the feeling of winning and compete more in that regard, right?
Bro, it got to a level where if I would come 2nd or 3rd, I would cry on the stage. That's how unhealthy it got for me.
Yeah. I was like that with my grades. If someone else was getting straight A's, I had to be friends with them so I could learn what they were doing to reinforce my position as the top student. I was such a loser.
Yeah, I don't know. The first few years, I kept winning. One, first, one, like number 1. And then a couple of times you slip up, you get a bit overconfident. Like 2nd, I was like, I'm not used to this feeling. I'm not you, because like, there's a podium. The first one is on the top, 2nd one's slightly lower, the 3rd one's on the lowest.
Way low.
And then there's a couple, and there's a couple of consolation prizes on the side. That. But the first time I was 2nd, the teacher's giving me this like little trophy, like a little metal thingy. I'm just getting it like a memento or something. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like bawling my eyes out. And she's like, I'm just going to be like, Mum's going to be angry when I get home.
You know what I liked as well that you said is that when you do build a little bit of a reputation for people knowing you of being the best at something, you stand out in times where, especially in terms of opportunities, if the school needed to represent someone is what you've just said. When you've got that reputation, being able to stand out provides you more opportunities. And I wanted to ask you the question of, well, you've come from India, which has one of the biggest populations in the world, where it's absolutely imperative, or you do become XYZ stereotype that you mentioned before. What was it like coming to Adelaide where the population's smaller, the competition's smaller? Were you a big fish entering a small pond, or was it a bigger pond and now you're a smaller fish? And is there something to be said about, this isn't a question, I'm loading it again. I have a bad habit.
I actually understood your question, to be fair. And to answer your question, I think it was still an ocean for me. and I wasn't even a fish, bro.
So the ocean got smaller when you came to Oz, or bigger?
Like I was in a pond when I was there because I was confined with the same friend group. I wasn't going out too much. So India was actually a pond for me because
Right.
I was only friends with so many people. I would only go out, like not even out. I would go have like chips with my friends and back home. So I was very confined. That was the pond for me.
The world got bigger when you came to Oz.
When I got to Adelaide, now that I don't have my parents looking over me, I don't have the same house that I used to live in. I don't have someone who'd take me anywhere if I want to. I cannot order like food online or anything because I don't have money in my bank account. That's when I was like, now
I'm a small fish.
I wasn't even a fish, bro. I was probably
tadpole.
like, yeah, something like that. Like I was probably like a starfish
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I wasn't even moving. I was just there. I was just laying there.
Yeah.
I was like, this is an ocean now. But to come to the second part of the question that you said, was it easier because Adelaide's a bit, obviously the more time I spend in Adelaide, I figured out Adelaide's not that big. Positives and negatives that come with it. You around too much. People know your name for bad stuff. You do well, you stand out very easily. So I was like, cool. So now that I've obviously built
I also think there's an incentive by the fact that Adelaide is smaller, that if you want to dominate in anything, you actually have to be the best. And then for the ones that are in that top echelon, like even you and me, technically, dude, I'm going to say it, we are competitors.
Yeah.
We both work in the food industry making videos, and your shit's good and my shit's good. In fact, we've even got customer overlap. There's customers that you've worked with that I've worked with.
Oh, really?
I'm not going to name names.
We'll talk about it later.
The point I'm making there is that, especially in Adelaide, that like this is where it's interesting for us. And if the Adelaide listeners are watching, they might relate to this. You know, in Sydney, there's so much room for customers and things that if you lose a customer or you want more, you just sort of like venture out a little bit. Whereas here, where it feels like we're set in a certain amount of customers and we're all just fighting over the same shit. But I like that because going back to the lion thing, you just got to become a bigger fish or you lose. And I love that.
And the good thing also about Adelaide is if you're trying to earn a name for yourself now, like you've built a personal brand. When I think of you, I'm like, what is he going to cook today? Or what is he going to...
Food.
Yeah, like what is he going to show me today? And then if you do even a half decent job for anyone, people start recognizing you. Which compared to in Melbourne and Sydney is going to be way harder.
So outside of the environment itself, to give the people listening a pointer there, is it that they, I mean, this seems so obvious and I don't want to be Captain Obvious, but seek competition every time you feel like you've outgrown your existing circumstances? Because like you talk about this with, you know, you use cars as your example. I've seen it in your content. There's always a bigger person. There's always a smarter person. There's always a better looking person. There's always a richer person. And the only way that you don't get bitter about said thing is your growth to the next stage.
Yeah.
There's always a bigger pond. Don't get comfortable being the big fish. Is that the summary of that topic?
I think it's not even about being comfortable. I think you start getting complacent. And irrespective of any part of life, even say, for example, dating, after you've been in the relationship, people start getting complacent over their partners. They take them for granted, whether it's girls or guys. And that's when it's like, it's not the same anymore. Because the first time when you were trying to attract the girl or when you were trying to get the attention of the guy, you were presenting your best self. And now that you've got it, you kind of be like, whatever. Similarly with, say, your gym kind of thing. All right, I've built a good physique. All right, cool, respectable. But not going to train hard or not going to look after my diet. It's either going to regress or you're just going to stay the same.
There's a life saying that you're either growing or you're dying.
Yeah.
And, you know, you look at the way money works at the moment with inflation, that if you just keep money in an account and leave it there, sure, it depends on how much money is there. But like, if it's not growing, it's actually becoming less valuable. You've done the segue for me into the girls topic, which is this is the one I'm most excited about. I've got a girlfriend that I've been with for a long time, but I know there are a lot of people listening that are struggling in the single land. They're struggling in relationship land. What are the top 3 things blokes are doing wrong when it comes to attracting the opposite sex?
Top 3 things they're doing wrong. Number one's probably going to be listening to red pill advice. As much as I would like, there's a part of it that you take away from it, but then completely applying to these pickup artist advice on your life is not right. Because what they show you on their videos or what they sell you through their courses is basically getting the girl's attention and getting a number. That's it. You don't go deep into, did they really take that girl out on a date? What's the emotional connection with the girl that they've taken out? Did it end up in a relationship? All day kind of just trying to sell you is the idea of, all right, talk to a girl without being scared, grow a pair of balls. All right, cool, I've approached her. What now? Say 5 fixed lines or 10 fixed lines. All right, cool. She's laughed off now. And what you do is just get the number. You get the Instagram. Great. You see these videos on Instagram and they're basically selling a dream, because I can guarantee 99.9% of the guys are actually scared of approaching a girl in public. Now that you have Instagram, dating apps and everything else, you can slide into the DMs from the comfort of your house. Why would you see a beautiful girl and be like, I'm going to put myself in a like uncomfy position and be like, hey, I think you're beautiful. She's going to think,
and then even if you action their silver bullet advice, it's still just a silver bullet. There's still, you need to fire the rest of the bullets to actually do well.
Yeah. So yeah, stop taking red pill advice, because if anything, it with your brain. And even like, I love Andrew Tate for certain things, but another thing, the type of advice that you would get from people like him in terms of relationship, to an extent it is right. But then when he says, oh, multiple girls at the same time while having a girlfriend, contradictory. Like it's like, it's not going to work out. If she's a quality woman, she's not going to stand for that.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot about him. I've got a lot of context. A lot of his point of view is about populating. Like he wants to make children, which is why he won't take on a girlfriend unless they're willing to. Anyways, that's not important.
Yeah.
The point you're making there is it actually comes from a place of levels that most men don't understand, which is, you know, you're not a rich, status-driven person who has a plethora of not only women experience, but he grew up as a fighter. So he's got so much like, you talk about the struggle which leads into your hero story. Despite whether he's a hero or a villain, his story is deep as.
Oh, I love that.
So of course his advice might be really, really handy, but it's not applicable to the average person who doesn't understand the tribulations he's been through to not only be who he is, but to be in that top 1% area.
Yeah.
So number one was don't use any silver bullets, because they, you know, while any interpersonal this conversation right now is a game of chess. But the good thing is about good orators and good communicators is the game of chess is actually alley-ooping each other. We're not trying to win, right? I look at conversations like tennis, and you're setting each other up for a good hit return.
Just get rallied going.
In terms of that, though, that's why I think your point about don't use silver bullets is important, because, here's how to serve. All right, what about the game? What about the game? And that there for me, you know, if I were to jump in and answer some of the question for you, I think there should be a bit of play involved in the way that you communicate with people. And you learn that play by embarrassing yourself and saying cringe shit and making mistakes.
To this day.
But I think maybe one of the things that I've noticed young blokes do wrong is they're going in with like let me get a close in mind. And I don't mean closes in have sex or get a kiss or whatever the their goal is. It's the fact that they've got a goal in the first place. Why don't you just approach a woman like they're a human?
Yeah.
Make the human laugh. Be yourself. And if yourself is a good person, especially in Adelaide, you want to be a good person. Like,
otherwise people are going to know you for bad
things. Yeah. I don't know. Is another point there maybe perhaps have a purpose in mind? I don't want to contradict myself and say that people should have a goal, but you don't want to be fluttering about the world finding girls everywhere.
It brings us back to a point. The world before you approach this girl, the world after you approach this girl, the results are not even going to make a difference. Yeah. It's exactly the same.
What else are they doing wrong then?
And number two is going to be not being very clear with their intentions.
Oh, yes. You've talked about this, being upfront in advance.
Yeah, just be upfront. Like, even if you're just wanting to have sex with a girl, and I don't know if this sounds bad to anyone, but hey, look, I don't want to date you, but I think you're very beautiful and I want to you. Just be real about it. Mm-hmm. And I think girls will appreciate that. Like, I'm not saying she's going to say yes. She might. I don't know. But she's just going to be very like appreciative of you being clear. Because when you are clear, I think you move a certain way. Mm-hmm. But when you're trying to just hide your true intentions,
I mean, you end up wasting people's time. You end up, people subscribe to things that they think will be one way and then they're hurt when things are the other way. I mean, this is how I do business. I'm clear up front, right? And I learned this strategy from the way I was with girls, especially with my girlfriend. Here are the terms that I'm entering this conversation with. Do you agree? Yes or no? Oh, you do? Cool, let's progress. You don't? Sweet. I mean, we've just both saved each other time. Of course, you can negotiate said terms. I'm not saying that for me to be in a connection with you, we follow these rules. It's just you set your clear intentions up front.
Absolutely.
And then it's clear from there. You know what I'm saying? And I like your point about like those clear intentions can be really bad ones too. Some people might love that. Some people might hate it, but at least it's clear from the get-go.
I do get like, to be the devil's advocate here, I can also see guys, their guys' reason for not being upfront with their intentions, because I've been in the same spot. Now I'm very like upfront with girls. This is what my expectations or intentions are. Like, I'm not here to waste my time. I don't want you to waste like your time as well with me if that's not a thing going to happen. But a lot of times when you are intentional with girls, and you kind of just, throw the question towards them, like, what about you? Or like, where's your head at? Like in terms of dating. A lot of the times the similar sort of answer that you get is, I don't know, like I'm seeing where things go.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I find someone, that'd be great. Which makes personally, as a guy from personal experience, it makes me feel like, oh, well, so you're not sure about if you want to date someone yet or not.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine.
Which is fine. But sometimes you also do get girls be like, I want someone. Like if I find the right person, I am very much open to being in a relationship. Or some girls are going to be like, look, I've recently gotten out of a relationship. I'm not looking for anything serious because it's going to be unfair on the person that I even try with. So all I'm after is a little bit of fun and just good time, which is, again, fair enough. But you're only going to get to that level of the conversation when you are clear with your intentions with her in the first place. And this can also segue into a lot of guys trying to be the friends. Like I'll be the friend for like they go for that very slow burn. Like I'm going to be the shoulder that she can cry on. And then eventually I'll be the that she on. I'm like,
God.
It's not going to be, it's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
Like I've seen so many guys try to do that. And I'm like, again, it's worked out for some, but mostly it's been the girls start also losing respect for these friends. Because that makes them feel like you are only in it to even look after themselves for a really long time. As a trickery
or something like that.
In a really long period of time, just so that you can finally get to that one point that every guy wants.
I think one of the key things there is like, I think a lot, regardless of what the intention is and whether or not you're upfront about it, people are just too scared of being said no to. And, if you're able to be said no to, you're able to be a little bit more confident in the intention. Which leads me to the question I've got here where you've said, in the past you've said, rejection is a filtering process. It's a blessing, not a curse. Can you run us through that in terms of this topic?
Yeah. It's like you're going to work with a customer, filtered out, they don't agree with your terms, you got rejected by them or you rejected them. Cool. You were not the right match. You didn't waste a lot of time on them. You didn't do free videos for them. You didn't spend money on them or just nothing. I walk up to a girl, I'm single. Cool. I think you're beautiful. Sorry, I have a boyfriend. Or you're not my type. That's it.
That's it. You're not the right match.
I spent 2 minutes.
Also, speaking of, you've mentioned here the idea that something that served you in your life has been not beating around the bush, right? Is this going further in the direction of say what you mean and mean what you say?
Yeah. Well, as you can imagine, I didn't look the part. I didn't sound the part or had no social status or I didn't have followers, didn't have money or anything. So it was only evident that I am not going to attract girls. I'm not even going to go into the type of girl, white girl, brunettes, brown, anything. It doesn't matter. I was just not attractive and I'm very self-aware when it comes to that. So yeah, I got to work and I got rid of dating apps as well. And the only thing I told myself was I am not going to even download the dating apps unless I feel like I deserve to even get a girl's attention. I'm not saying unless I deserve a girlfriend or I deserve to sleep with someone. Because as we all heard on internet somewhere, like be the partner or be the man you would want a woman with, that kind of thing. Just be the part as like compared to the person that you want, you also got to be the same person. So it's like, if I really want someone attractive, if I really want someone driven, if I want someone XYZ, I also have to be somewhat on that level. So I got into my journey and whatnot. And finally, when I felt like, okay, cool. I'm a bit comfortable now. My t-shirts are filled up on my biceps and it doesn't look as weird. That was the first time I actually went to one of the clubs in Adelaide after a really long time with one of my mates. And that night, everything changed for me. And I was like,
I get it now.
No, like I didn't have to look at girls. I don't know what it was about that night. Like it's still 4K crystal clear in my mind. I think maybe the only reason it's so clear is because that was the first time that it was happening with me. I wasn't drinking alcohol or anything. And I had girls coming to me asking what my name was or like, did I have a girlfriend? And I'm like, this is a completely different world that I've just walked in. And that was the big realization that all of this time when I've heard videos, motivational photos and whatnot, or even guys that talk to you at work or anything who are bigger than you, who are older than you, and who tell you that, mate, it doesn't matter what you look like. No, bro, it does. It does. I know I'm still the same person deep down that I was before my transformation and now. Like I'm still pretty much the same person. My yeah, some of the values have changed. Some of the things that I've done, maybe that I'm not proud of, or maybe there's some things that I've done I'm really proud of. But at the end of the day, I'm still deep down the same person. And the only thing that changed at that point in time was my looks. So it just completely changed my point of view about life and about people.
I like the point you made before about like, you know, are you a match or are you not, right? And, you know, when you wanted more for yourself in your life, you became more and you started finding better matches. Do you have anything for the audience about what they should be doing to find a match? Like, what if they don't know what they want? How can you be clear in your intentions about whether you just want this or just want that if you've got no idea what the you want?
Well, the best way to kind of go about it, as we say, is on and find out. And to some people, it might sound bad, like, oh, you're giving bad advice to someone. But again, looking at a food dish coming to your niche, just looking at it, you can't really say if it's going to taste good unless you taste it. So give it a go. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. Because I know guys and I know girls, even to this day, they have commitment issues. They can't commit to people, but they really enjoy sex. So they're like, I'm just going to keep.
And you know what? I know too many people who have their big notes lists on their iPhone about all of their green flags and all of their red flags and all of the prerequisites.
Oh, don't get me started. I went on a date with a girl like that. Oh, me, bro. I don't want to talk about that.
Reading the list to you. Anyway, the point I'm making is I feel like we're in a culture now where people have the most giant lists ever without actually having tried or experienced what those lists are in real life. So you've got your ample dream dude and what they possess, and you've got your red flag dude and all the things you don't want them to possess. But in terms of your comment about the food, you've tasted none of them. You've just got this ample list that you're looking for this perfect, but because you don't have the life experience, the tribulations, the successes, and the general culture of software upgrade in your mind, that list, there might be a dude in your life or a girl in your life, if you're a dude listening to this, that's smack bang right in front of you, that ticks all of your boxes that you can't even see because you're too busy reading your notes of red and green flags. It's like, go out and try. Embarrass yourself. That was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. And it's not even about embarrassing yourself because, again, I've seen a lot of dudes, especially as you mentioned, I need to hustle. I can't commit to a girl. All I want is a little bit of sex, and then I'm just going to focus on my business.
But then they don't focus on their business.
Man, they think on the outside shell, they're like, I want this. And they go about the routes of sleeping with different women every week, or they're not getting any women. So they're too focused on getting women. Like they're trying to present themselves in a certain way that they can get a girl to get to their bed instead of actually focusing on being that part they're trying to advertise to this girl. So if they spend a little bit more time being the bloke that they're trying to show this girl that they are, they would actually be the guy.
Dude, I remember when I started the business and it was right as me and Alessia were getting together. I remember being convinced like, dude, a girlfriend is a bad idea for a business. I need to focus on the work. I'm a business person, 3 years later and all the reps I've done, holy thank God I've got a girlfriend because it's good for business. Yes. But these are things you don't learn. Imagine if I'd never gone into the relationship because I like my freedom. I like doing the degenerate shit I was doing. You don't learn how important it is until you try the thing. And I had to fight for that relationship. Like it's, I don't know. Speaking of red and green flags, let's transition. Top 3, sorry, for context, these are Lakshya's red and green flags. These don't have to be general rules. If he offends you, I'm sorry. He's just talking about what he prefers. 3 biggest red flags in a girl.
In a girl? You're going to get me cancelled, aren't
Bro,
you?
honestly, this is the most my bumhole has clenched in any episode ever.
I thought you were going to start with green flags. I was like, easy, green flags. I know what a green flag is, but you're straight away just fired on the red ones. And I have to be very careful with what I say. So I'm going to just, say this before I get onto the red flags. These are the red flags for the type of girl that I would not consider to be the mother to my children or my wife.
Yep.
If it was just about taking someone out on a date.
Can you give us the vanilla version of these 3? I feel like I know what you're about to say. Just the vanilla. Don't give me bad clips here.
I'm not giving you bad clips. Number 1's probably going to be the relationship that you have with your mom and dad. Okay. No, I'm just going to be on the safer side now. Yep. You don't want to be cancelled. I don't want to be cancelled either.
I just don't want to hear body count stuff and we're going to upset people.
Well, that does. I will get to
it. It does. Sorry. I won't interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Number 1's probably going to be the relationship to your mom and dad because that tells me what sort of a person. I'm again taking into consideration that your mom and dad are together, or like at least you live with them, or whatever. God forbid something's wrong happened. I'm sorry about that. But in the bigger picture, if your relationship with your mom and dad is great, that tells me that you're a level-minded individual. You don't have underlying issues with yourself, and that you're going to get along with my friends and my family a little bit better. Because again, you're coming from an Italian family, traditional, ethnic. Family gets together. There's going to be people around. So you don't want your partner to be like, I'm not going to talk to anyone. It's going to look weird. It's going to look a bit not usual. So that's going to be number one. Like, okay, good. Even if you don't have a good relationship, at least respect them.
And can I expand on that? Because I really agree. Not only their relationship with their parents, but how well they get along with your friends.
Yeah.
There's the song, if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friend. I know it's cringe, but also it's like, dude, the last thing you want is a partner that doesn't integrate well with your life, or at least doesn't make it easy for you to integrate with theirs. Because then you're living this shadow relationship that's outside of real life, and it's a strain rather than a improvement. You're meant to be a teammate. Anyways, number 2.
Yeah, and then you're gonna upset different groups. Your family's not happy. Your friends say you've changed, and then your partner's like, "Stop spending time with your friends." Well,
then
what do I do?
Trapped. It's just not. Yeah, no. Thank God. You need to be able to integrate with friends and family, and if you can't see that that's a possibility, or there are signs there that the boy or the girl might not be accepted well. I understand the Romeo and Juliet story is definitely an important one where perhaps the parents don't accept, but they are still the perfect person. Yeah. But on the most part, keeping your family happy is a good one. So
yeah,
number 2.
I'll keep the most juicy one on the third. I'll go number 2. When she can't communicate, or she thinks like she doesn't have to communicate, and a lot of girls are like, guys just should get it. Get what? Guys should just get it. What I'm feeling. Like, I'm not a mind reader. Like, come on. If you tell me something and I don't fix it or I don't act upon it, my responsibility. But if you can't communicate with me, it's not going to work out. Because when you don't talk, you start assuming. There's going to be misunderstandings. And then the more misunderstandings, the more arguments is going to burn the house down. So just, even if it's anything bad, hey, confront me. I'll be so respectful about it and be like, thank you. I hate that you've pointed this out, and I'm going to go away, spend some time in silence. But at least now I know what's wrong. Instead of me trying to play that guessing game. Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I forget her birthday? Did I forget her mom's birthday? What the is wrong? Like, everything's right. Like, if you don't communicate, I'm not going to know. I'm just not going to get an idea.
I think this applies to all human interaction in general. I'm a very put my cards on the table just so everyone knows where I stand. I know that, we were talking about 48 laws of power before. That's a bad one. But for me, mine's like, hey, well, there's no surprises here with me. Here's my hand. Here's what I'm about to play. You show me your hand, and now I know how to dance in this conversation.
Yeah.
But communication's imperative. Yes, big one.
And I think it comes with this social media day and age, because people are looking at different people's relationship, and it's kind of dictating how they should be steering their relationship. No, someone you see on social media, I think it's a highlight reel. We love to put the best parts out there. Yes, we put some bad parts out there as well, but mostly it is fancy. Mostly it is something that's going to get you views, likes, clicks, and more business. Let's be real. But other than that, your relationship's completely different. Just steer it in a way where you both know what to do. You both are the captain here, not anyone else. Because you trying to look at anyone else is like, all right, they're steering their boat in another part of the world, and the wind is blowing towards west. But where you're steering your boat, the wind's going to the east. So it's going to affect how you drive. It's just as simple as that. And number 3, again, like you did touch upon the body count thingy. I actively recognize that we live in a day and age where having active sexual partners is a thing. And I'm not the most I'm not the most innocent bloke out there.
None of us are.
Yeah, like we've all all of us like have had our fair share of flings, gone through the degeneracy phase, whatever you want to call it. But at one point you realize like, okay, I'm going to lose myself if I keep doing this, or I actually need to pull up, and maybe this thing is not for me.
I've heard you say that the more people you sleep with, the more parts of your soul get put out.
That's what I feel like.
I've not opened up about this side of my life, and probably won't for a very long time, but it's something that I deeply resonate with. It's the common saying of anything that feels pleasurable at the moment, that comes too easily, is never ever good for the long run. And I remember, during that period of my life, which we won't go into, it's actually cost more than it's helped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm just going to say,
boys think it's cool to sleep around. It's not cool, dude. Stick to yourself. Find out who you are.
Again, for us, it's not. And for some blokes, it's absolutely worth it. Again, comes down to people and the type of people.
Hedonism is never worth it. Even
And-
if you value hedonism, it's just never worth it.
I felt the most hollow and empty
Me too.
around that period.
Yep.
Because as you mentioned, when you get it in the moment, it's like, this is awesome. But you know for a fact that person's not going to stick. You said that
And you're
don't
absorbing that
want-
person's energy. And especially if you're a degenerate and you're going around doing all this stuff with someone that you wouldn't, e.g. the words you use, make your wife or the mother of your children.
Yeah.
You're taking on energy of unaligned people. It's like for the business owners listening right now, you take on a shit client, it's never worth any of the money they could possibly pay you. If they're not the right person to have a business relationship with, get the out of there. Like, get the out of there. There's no short-term win with a bad customer.
Yeah.
Even if the money's great, it's still a bad, goes back to talking about matches. A lot of the time, if you're sleeping around, your ability to generate a good match is never really quite accurate, because a sexual match doesn't mean good relationship match. You can have good sexual matching in a relationship, but sex is sex, dude.
It's a good theory. If I present sushi and if I present like a kebab pack, what are you going to choose?
I think sushi for me.
All right, cool.
God, we're doing food analogies.
No. So yeah. So it was easy for you to choose when you had two options. No, I put sushi, a kebab pack. I put a pizza. I put a pasta. I put some paninis and whatnot. Now you're gonna be like, what do I feel like right now?
Probably go for the paninis.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So it changes the more options you have and the more people that you're sleeping around with. The only reason I say that, you lose a part of your soul, and I definitely feel that way. Some people could be like, this is shit, but I'm an emotional guy.
Me too.
Even though in the moment I would have said, or at least I didn't feel like I don't want to be connected to this person. Once you've done the deed, you do feel connected a little bit. And in the moment, again, it's great because, oh my Lord, this is fun. But a moment hits you either when you're about to like part ways with that person, like you're dropping them off, you're getting their Uber or they're leaving or whatever. Or maybe after they've left, that's when it hits you like, man, like I'm empty. Like there's no one with me now.
Mm-hmm. Dude, this conversation is going to be my life's work. I'm not comfortable talking about it yet, but like that conversation there is not
You get
had
the
enough.
feeling.
We're not taught about this. We don't learn about it. Dudes think that their life is better when they have more women around them. I'm telling you, it's just what you've said there. And I use the word being jaded. The more food options you've had, the more it's like an itch, right? And the more you scratch the itch, the more the itch actually becomes a scar. That's why when you get a tattoo, they tell you not to itch it because you the tattoo up, right? I look at unaligned, and I wish I could tell my 18-year-old self this when he was going around doing all the stupid shit I used to do, that it may feel good now, but you're opening a wound that will never close now. It's like the saying about when a dog bites a human for the first time. A lot of the reason, some of these dogs get put down is because once they've bitten someone the first time, they're more likely to bite again. I thought I could handle it. I thought I was come to the conversation with the terms so that girls weren't tricked. And I was never a trickery type of person. But I look back on it now, I'm like, I just wish I never exposed my soul to these things.
And I do want to mention a very interesting thing here, because going back to the food analogy, and that's one thing we have to live with it. Man, that sushi looked good. It would have tasted so good if I didn't pick the panini.
Bro, and
do you know what I mean?
That's not to say that I still don't crave the sushi now, but it's just I know now the ramifications of said. So it's like we're not taught this, bro.
Yeah.
It's like impulse control, whether it's gym, food, work, sleep, all of the things that can change your biological structure and dopamine, all of them without control are it's a big risk. You smoke, that's it's impulse control, because it can literally instantly change how you feel. Sex is the same thing, and if you start chasing it, it's not a good place to go. It's not. And I'm opening up about it, but this is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, and you're always going to live with, what if I tried that girl? What if I did do it with that girl? And the chances are you're probably never going to find out. But it's good. Trust me, in the long run, it's good.
And going back to you as well, I don't want to contradict your really good point before, which is taste the food. You're not going to know what you like and don't like unless you at least try it.
The only reason you know that you don't like it.
Correct. But you don't have to binge. There's got to be a world where if you touch the flame once or twice, you burn and you stop. Addiction's a very, very deep topic, which we won't get into, but I had to burn my hand 50 times. Thousands of times I had to burn my hand.
That's a lot of body count.
I didn't. That's why I changed the number, because I didn't want to make it look like it was body count. But you get the point. And now I look back on like some of the girls when I was younger that did turn me down because I was open with my intentions. It's like, well, I don't understand that. Why are you?
Respect them more.
Why are you being so strict with X, Y, Z? I know you're attracted. I know we've been going on dates. Why aren't we doing these terms that I've said? Like, here's what I want to do. And now I look back, I'm like, you're a smart motherfucker. Like, of course you didn't want to have sex unless you're in a relationship. I totally understand.
And you respect
because
them
you
more.
respect yourself. I know it's becoming about me, bro. But yeah, I really like that. Is there any other wrap up points on the things to look for or flags?
Red flags?
Red or green? Because so far, every red flag you've been, the converse of that is a green flag.
Yeah. I mean, green flags very different for me, honestly. A green flag's going to be in terms of like relationship material. She's not going through any sort of like past healing from another bloke. Could also go into a red flag if she's still got emotional baggage. Probably not going to go there.
So you're saying the opposite of two halves become a whole. It's two holes become a whole.
Don't try to be a bandage to a wound.
Bandage to a wound. Yeah, correct. So you don't want to enter a relationship as a half.
I've tried and I've done that. And then again, I've said it in one of my videos in the past. If you end up being a bandage to a girl trying to heal her or like trying to fix her, after the wound heals, the bandages are thrown away. That's what happens to you as well. That's a good point. Okay, this is the stuff I want to wrap up with. You, outside of your videography business and your personal growth in terms of the gym and mindset and the personal brand you're building with the content for the people listening. Yeah. You offer coaching. Yeah. Right? And outside of that content, you also, I like the world that we live in, which is you can't be wrong in the advice that you give to someone if you're just sharing your personal experience. And the reason I've got you on is because I think your personal experience is interesting, right? I've got a question here. What's the risk / what is your worry about being the person giving other people advice? Because I don't want to load the question, but for me, man, I feel like I've had a very deep life experience, especially with the stuff we were just talking about. I do not give advice. Maybe because it's a confidence thing. Maybe I'm still healing from said stuff. I've had a deep experience, same as you. I try not, maybe I'll share some business advice here and there. Yeah. But I still feel like I'm learning. What's your go? What's the risk? What's the worry for you? I think obviously I talk a lot about mindset stuff and relationship stuff, gym stuff and whatnot. And I could possibly teach people how to make content. Like, okay, this is how you shoot. Frame rates, log profiles, color space, whatever. I feel very confident in this. Me too. I've built a business. It's doing really well. I still feel like an imposter if I'm talking about how to set up a business or how to going about clients, or if it was about a marketing pitch, this is how you pitch to clients, or this is how you overcome rejection or objections with talking to a client. Because let's be real, you're talking to a client, there's going to be objections, maybe about price, maybe about deliverables or whatnot. And I've navigated them like perfectly. But telling someone else about it, I'm just like, I don't feel I'm qualified. Do you know what I mean? And I've heard you talk about the nuance of sometimes with coaching, not one size fits all. Which is absolutely. Why you can't really, man, the amount of shit I could teach about my lessons, same. I'll probably make a course right now and it'd actually truly be worth the money I charge it for. But there's still so much nuance that I'm learning that's hard to replicate. And and I don't even offer coaching like out in public. It's a link there. And I said it at the end of my YouTube videos. One-on-one. Yeah. I just said, if you want to book it's not even coaching. It's like a one-on-one call with me. Because maybe you don't need 12 weeks of coaching. Maybe you just have some shit going on that you need to get off your chest and need advice about. Just book a call with me and that's it. But in terms of the girl stuff, re-answer that question. Yeah. Because like, I don't know, for example, I know because I've done my research on you, I know why you're single. I know your current situation. But what if there's someone listening like, bro, if you're so good at advising me on girls, why don't you have a long-term partner? And I'm not saying that to challenge you, but can you answer that for the audience? Yeah, well, technically I am talking to a couple people. How it goes. Yeah. And there's going to be like one prominent prospect that I'm really keen on, but I need to see the similar sort of kind of like efforts and my feelings need to be reciprocated. Because long story short, if I've seen someone for 6 months and they still are not sure, now that they are getting a level like, okay, let's give this a go. Now I am unsure. What is taking you 6 months to think, all right, you want to go ahead? Were you testing out other people in these 6 months, trying to just keep me as an option? Or were you still healing from the past, which brings me back to one of my other red flags? So I want to be careful about it because. But you're saying the way you go about giving that advice is you're just sharing your experience in real time, and it's not here's a hard-earned, fought lesson that's going to apply to your life because I'm this person. It's like
well, actually, I'm going through, someone's trialing me for 6 months and here's what I've learned from it. Take it for what it is.
Yeah. And I always say this, like, whatever I tell you is based on my experience. If you with it, give it a try, works out, great. If it doesn't work out, it's not a guarantee it's going to work out. Again, if it was to work out for everyone, it would be a course. Like how you edit on a particular software can be a course because the software is going to be the same for everyone.
But interpersonal relationships are the most custom thing on the planet.
Even if you are a bloke who's exactly same as me, like exactly, it's impossible, but let's just put it hypothetically. You're exactly same as me. The girls that you're dealing with are going to be different to
the country you're in, the way you, bro, I relate to you so much. And I didn't even realize you were 24 like I was. We run a similar business. I feel like I'm not as in shape as you, but I go to the gym. Like we're similar. We've had similar experiences with girls. We both have similar values, but I went to an old dude school. I went to school in the city. There's so many nuance to these things. So I get it.
Yeah. But again, like the only reason we take advice from people who are better than us is I'll apply it. If it works for me, I've unlocked something new. That's how I went about with business as well. Like I looked at different media agency owners or like different people who use different cameras. I stick to a particular brand. My business partner sticks to a particular brand. So I'm following people who use the brand of my camera and I'm learning from them. Not saying that the people who are using another brand can't teach me anything. This is probably going to be the most closest advice that is going to work for me. It's not a guarantee it's going to work, but we can always give it a go.
Speaking of one final closing bit of advice before the episode closes, to the people you think that can relate to your story, which I mean, I'm going to use the word, but to the brown people out there that are listening, God, am I even allowed to say that?
Well, you can say black and white, so why not brown?
I guess that's true. If someone's feeling lost right now, where should they start? Because for you, it was the gym. That was the start.
Where should they start or what should they start with?
Anything you want.
I think, like before we started the podcast, take a deep breath. Don't up. Just take a deep breath. Number one's probably going to be come to terms that life is a bit up or whatever the scene is, whatever the case is. Cool, man. This shit's up. It sucks. Girl broke your heart. It sucks. You're skinny. It sucks. Come to terms with it. Accept it. I think the first thing's probably going to be acceptance because a lot of people just live in like, oh, I'm just going to deny everything that's happening with me. Like, nah, I got to change. I got to do this. I got to make money. No. Just accept it.
Where you are right now with all faults. Yeah.
Accept it and embrace it. Like, cool, man. Like, this is what I am. Just don't be comfortable with it. Because if you don't like it and you try to be comfy with it, that's how you're going to put yourself in a deeper rabbit hole and you're not going to be able to put yourself out of it.
And that's how you stay. Going back to cars to close the episode, that's how you stay with the Suzuki Swift. Life is about how far you got from where you started, not about the final destination. Speaking of, our destination has reached its end. Guys, that was Lakshyaa. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Stefan, give me a clap. Yes!
Yeah.
Very good, man. That was a good episode. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dude, you made me open up about shit I would never speak about. In the future, guys, if you're watching this in 20 years, you'll hear more about what I'm talking about. Anyways, peace. Subscribe if you're new, and all of Lakshyaa's links will be in my XYZ.